Unconditional love. Unconditional love. We have to start discussing this. It's so important. Thank you so much for joining me today on Talks with Brian. Talks with Brian, and a happy Sunday. So, why is unconditional love important? How can we practice unconditional love with the people that we're meeting every single day in public, with our loved ones, in our relationships, and also unconditional love for ourselves? So that is what we're going to be talking about today. So it's a big one. It is a big one. So my understanding of unconditional love is to be able to recognize yourself in somebody else. Eckhart Tolle also teaches this. I also believe that in order to achieve unconditional love, you have to be willing to accept somebody for who they truly are, without any conditions, without any standards. Accept somebody for who they are, with compassion and understanding. With deep compassion and understanding. Now, the other day, I was in Tesco, and the guy on the checkout, he was on his phone. And he made me wait a little bit. And now he's, I can hear my ego saying, okay, this brother is touching my bananas after he's touched his phone. He's not even wearing any gloves. He now goes about the business of touching my potatoes. It's just loud noises going on right now. I'm in full judgment because, he's made me wait. He's on his phone. And then something just happened. A shift happened, and I was just thinking, okay, Brian, well, there's a million other reasons why he's going to be on his phone, especially during a pandemic. There could be someone in hospital, and he's out here working front lines for us. Okay, so get over yourself. And two, you ain't got no man to go back home to. You're not rushing anywhere. So you are going to wait, and you are going to acknowledge that this human being in front of you is a member of society, one. This human being is a child of God, a child of nature, a child of Muhammad, Allah, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And you are not going to try and kill him with kindness, because that's what we do, right? When when we're in a situation where there's that, person in retail or waitress or whatever, and you're like, I'm just going to kill them with kindness. No. I just heard this voice say, no, you're not going to do that. You are going to be patient. You are going to acknowledge and see yourself in this human being with compassion. That is what you're going to do. Whether he's on his phone as he's serving you. And I did that, and I'm not saying that to boast or to brag. I'm just saying that because in that moment, that for me was when I was like, oh, this is what actually loving another child of God, another member of society, another human being is like. This is unconditional love. To be able to truly see somebody and understand somebody. So that for me was a huge thing that happened earlier on in the week, which inspired me to actually talk about unconditional love. Because if we cannot express or show compassion and acceptance and understanding, which is unconditional love, for our brothers and sisters that we meet casually every single day, whether it's in Tesco or at a restaurant or at the train station, then how are we going to be able to do that for the people in our relationships, for our family members, for our bosses, for our managers, for our coaches, for our agents? How are we going to be able to do that if we truly cannot practice unconditional love for the people that we meet on a day-to-day basis? Okay? Now, I am sure there are a lot of people who have got, and also this is another thing as well. These relationships are sometimes the root to our suffering. Because again, we don't know how to truly accept and understand somebody for who they are. We're not loving people unconditionally. And I've got someone in my life who, I swear to God, loves to try me. Absolutely just loves to try me. I don't think this person is doing it on purpose. I'm sure that that's not their intentions. But I can always hear my ego just be like, oh, this person again, this person, and I literally, made a choice. I made a choice a long time ago. I said, okay, this person is valuable to me. This person is valuable to me. I respect this person. I see this person. I know this person. Okay, so and for people watching this now, I want us to think about those people that in whatever relationship you have. I want you to think about whoever you're thinking about, because I think this is so relatable for so many people. So me and this person, I'm just thinking, okay, well, I value this person. So in order for me to not let these small things build up daily, monthly, whatever, I have to make a choice to accept. I have to make a choice to truly accept this person for who they are. I have to do that right now. And I always have to remember why this person is important to me and why I love this person and why, this relationship, is essential. Because what happens is that when we are not able to do that, when we're not able to accept with compassion the flaws, the mistakes, the ego will start screaming and saying, let me out. I want out of this friendship. I want out of this relationship. I want out of this job. I want out of, and it never ends right. It never ends right. Now, this is not me saying that, oh, we should stick around and be treated like absolute shit by people. That's not what I'm saying. Excuse my French. Because, we should always know when to leave the fair. However, I really do believe that when we start loving unconditionally, little stuff like that just won't bother us. Little stuff like that just won't have as much effect. It doesn't hold as much weight as it used to do. Because you understand that is just all ego. Because trying to get somebody to change or do things the way that you want to be done, that is not lovingly. It's like asking somebody, it's like me asking this person that, what, you'll be great, you'll be amazing if you did this. We'd have the best, relationship. If you could just do this, you will be, no. That's not loving unconditionally. Do you know what I mean? That's not loving unconditionally. That's not accepting somebody with compassion. And another thing, oh my gosh, before I forget, we have to start discussing the cycle, the woman's cycle. And for me, during this pandemic, living with my sisters, I really now have an understanding of the woman's cycle. And so basically, my sister, sometimes I noticed there will be a little bit of there'll be a bit of tension, or there'll be a moment where she's speaking to me in a way that I don't think I should be spoken to. So I remember, with compassion, and I was conscious of this. I went to her room and I said, hey, what's going on? Because I don't appreciate this. And she was courageous enough to say to me, listen, it's my time of the month or whatever. And, so I could hear myself as well. I could hear myself being like, well, my best friend is a female and she doesn't speak to me or whatever. And, I started, I can hear myself going there. I wasn't taking that because I just didn't know enough. I didn't know enough. And she explained to me that for every woman, it's different. You know what I mean? Before it could be, it could be the lead up to it, the week before the cycle, where, I learned that, sleep is affected, mood is affected, eating habits, just everything. And she was able to say, like, this is why sometimes. And for every woman, it's different. And, so I went and did my own research, and I spoke about it as well with a couple of girlfriends. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. Okay, so this makes sense when, I feel like I'm being attacked or spoken to in a certain way. There is now another reason why this could be happening. Okay, and this is the same thing, going back to the members of society that we meet. There's always a million other reasons why people react or behave the way they do. So it's up to us to have that understanding. It's up to us to decide, to make a choice and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to see you, I'm going to hear you, and I'm going to love you and accept you unconditionally. There is something so freeing about that. There is something so liberating about that. And, it's a similar thing as well. We can also do this for ourselves. We can do this for ourselves. There was a family member that called me, and they really wanted to talk, and they needed some advice. And, I was there, and, this person was really grateful. And I just remember after the phone call saying to myself, wow, I was able to have this open conversation with a family member, and there was no judgment, and I listened, and I was there, and we were present. And also that's what unconditional love is as well. To truly practice it, you have to be in the present moment. You have to be in the present moment. And I said to myself, why don't I speak to myself the way that I spoke to that family member? Why don't I speak to myself? We can all relate, right? Why are we better friends to our friends and family members than we are to ourselves? Why are we not doing that work for ourselves? Why are we not having this much compassion and forgiveness and trust and understanding and unconditional love for ourselves? It gets to a point where it's like, it's laughable. Why am I not showing myself this type of love? So this is something that needs to be discussed, because I really do believe that, the ego is just going to dissolve bit by bit the minute we start recognizing ourselves in other people. Our fears, our anxieties, our depressions, everything just becomes yesterday's news, because we're not fazed by anything, because we're literally in a place, and this happens as well when you're prayed up, when you've meditated, when you've done your breath work, when you've just had a moment before you enter whatever room you're in. But before you go into that shop, before you go into Tesco, before you go into that restaurant, there's just that moment where you're like, I'm going to come in with love. I'm going to come in with love, because you're going to get that back. And again, it's all energy, right? It's all energy. So this is something that we need to discuss. This is something that I'm still learning about and exploring. But I really do feel like our relationships are going to get better and stronger if we are practicing unconditional love. If we are accepting people for who they are. And if some of these relationships don't work out, if some of these things don't work out, that is absolutely fine. But again, when you're in that place of unconditional love, you're able to, again, accept it. Okay, I'm going through a divorce, but I accept it. I'm going through this breakup. I accept it. This person no longer wants me in their lives anymore. Okay, I accept it with love. There's no drama about it anymore. There's no drama. And sometimes thinking back to me in Tesco, it was just, I could hear the drama. I could feel the drama in my head. And if this was a year ago, I probably would have spoken to the manager about it because, I know the manager pretty well. I probably would have called a friend and be like, would you believe during the pandemic that this person's touching his phone, then touching my potatoes? Because misery loves misery. We're all feeling a way about Corona right now. So anything is just going to piss us off, So let's have these conversations, because the minute we're able to accept people for who they are, it's a whole new frequency. It's a whole new vibration. It's unconditional love. It is unconditional love, which in my opinion is a miracle. Unconditional love, is a miracle. It really is a miracle. Now, I could go on, and I definitely think there is a part 2 to this particular episode, but I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to wish you guys a happy, fresh new week ahead, and thank you for tuning in. Much love. Bye.